Hello and welcome. We're already a month into the year, but I figured I'd set some goals for this year on what books I'm trying to read. So welcome to my 24 books I want to read in 2024. I do have a few of the books that are on this list, which is fantastic. I also have a few more books on the way, probably 3 more books, but it'll be a few weeks before those get here. So I want to go ahead and just show you guys now what I want to read this year. So let's get started. First up are the series that I want to read in 2024. I have a handful of these, and I kind of group them together in companion series. So I only have 8 on my list, but that probably translates to like 50 books. So with just those, I don't think I'll be able to get through all these series this year, but I want to at least start on all of them this year. Starting us off, I have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I actually got this one in the special edition with the sprayed edges, which I'm really excited about. I haven't gotten Iron Flame yet because I'm really trying to avoid buying like a massive amount of books in the same series without figuring out if I want to continue the series or not. But I had to get this special edition, and if I see Iron Flame special edition available, I'll probably get that too before I even read this one. It's hard to resist. What if they go out of stock? And what if you really like the book and you missed your chance? What I like the most about special editions are the like inside, when they have like special drawings or whatever on the inside. I don't actually know what the non-special edition version looks like, but I like the detail added in here. Next up, we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And then following this, I also want to read the Crescent City series. So far, I only have the first book in the Throne of Glass series, but I am planning on ordering them as I read them. After I read this one, I'll probably order like the next few in a row so I can get through them all at once. Next up, we have the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. So I have the US edition right now, but I'm actually going to return this one because I ordered the UK versions. I don't hate this cover, but I just love the UK editions so much. Like, I don't even care if I don't love the series. I think they're just one of the most beautiful books. So I bought all of them in the UK versions. Up until like last week, I have heard nothing but positive reviews about this, but I did see someone say that they didn't like it, and that upsets me. Even though I haven't read this yet, I'm already upset that some people don't like it. I spent so much money on these UK versions, like $20 shipping, £20 shipping. Ridiculous. I almost forgot. Before I get to the Once Upon a Heart series, I actually want to make sure I read the Caraval series first. I have these in the US version, and I don't plan on getting the UK version of these. Hopefully they match well enough, but I'm not too worried if they don't because they're different series. They don't have to be identical. I bought the whole series of this because I just really want to read this whole series before I get to Once Upon a Heart, just in case it makes it even a little bit better. So I have Caraval, Finale, and Legendary. And I did cheat a little bit, and I am including both of these series together once again because they're in the same universe, so kind of the same thing. Next up, we have the Six of Crows duology. I also have this whole 2-book series. I didn't think it was that crazy of an investment to get one extra book. I've been seeing a bunch of books by Leigh Bardugo that I really want to read, so I really hope I like this because she has so many books that I'm interested in. I also just remembered, looking at the back of this, that she also wrote the Shadow and Bone series. And I'm not sure if it's Shadow and Bone you're supposed to read before Six of Crows, or if there's another series that goes with. But I'm going to have to look that up. If I need to read a different series before this one, I will do it, which just kind of expands the list of books that I want to get to this year. So I should really start getting into this list. That's it for the series I own the physical copies of. There are a few more series that I want to get to and that I will be purchasing / have already purchased, and they are on their way. So the next series that I want to read is the Red Rising series. I've already read the first 2 books because they were free on Audible with the membership, but I do want to read the rest of the series in the physical copies. I love the narrator on the audio versions, but I just feel like I need to focus more on the book because it's just such a crazy story, and I just really want to absorb it. And I feel like to absorb books, I need to read the physical copies of them. But the audio versions are very good. And I kind of also want to reread Red Rising and Golden Sun, like the physical copies, before I read the third book. I don't know if I'll do that because that would take a lot of time, but I want to at least eventually read the physical copies of the first two books, in case I missed something listening to the audio version, which I probably did. The next book I want to read is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I've heard a lot of great things about this book as well. There's only the first book out right now. Second book's coming out this year. So kind of excited that I can kind of be on track with reading this series and not be completely behind like I am for all of these other series. But that one is coming in the mail. I bought it in my UK haul just because it was slightly cheaper and there was like kind of a special edition with sprayed edges, so I figured might as well. The next series on the list is a favorite of many. It's the Magnolia Park series. I did order the UK versions of these, so they will be coming soon. I just really am not a fan of the US versions. They're fine, but the UK versions are just so beautiful. I can't not have them. Like, it's half the reason I want to read Magnolia Parks is just because I want those books. I don't even care if I don't like them. I just want to have them. So I bought all 5, and if I hate them, well, at least they're pretty. And the last series I want to read is One Dark Window, which I have also been hearing a lot about lately and kind of excited to read. I've heard it's a little less complicated of a fantasy. I've also heard some mixed reviews about it, but most people have really seemed to like it. So I'm hoping I'm one of those people, but I've not yet ordered it. So I'll probably read one of these first before I get to One Dark Window. And that's all the series that I want to read in 2024. Next, let's get to the books that are already released and I'm just really behind on. First, we have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I have heard so many, like 5-star reviews for this book, and I feel like it's a crime that I own it and I still haven't read it. I have so many books that I bought because they got like amazing 5-star reviews from people, and I still haven't read them, and it's kind of driving me insane. And then once I read this book, I will read Betting on You by Lynn Painter, which I did actually already read the first 3 chapters of because they were, on Kindle as a sample, and I really liked them. And that's made me like even more excited to get started into reading Lynn Painter. The next book I have on my list is Babel by R.F. Kuang. She also has a few books that I really want to read. Honestly, all of the books that she's come out with, I've heard amazing things about, and I want to get to reading. I'm going to read this one first, and then I need to read Yellowface. I've heard amazing things about that one. And then I want to read the Poppy series. If you've read R.F. Kuang and you have a favorite of her books, let me know. I'm planning on starting with Babel, but I feel like I've heard some people say that their favorite of hers is the Poppy series. Maybe it's because it's a series, and if someone likes this series, then they tend to get like even more involved in it and more like crazy about it because you spend so much time with the characters. But I'm excited to read this. Next I have Educated by Tara Westover. It's a memoir. I've actually had this on my shelf the longest out of all these. I've had it for like 3 years or so, but I've heard amazing things again, and it's the only memoir on my list, even though there are some other memoirs that I've heard amazing things about and I should also read, but this will probably be the first memoir I read of 2024. The rest of the books on my list I do not own physical copies of, but I'll put a little picture of them here. Next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I actually just ordered this off Amazon, so it should be here in the next few days. I also got the special edition with like the pretty flower printed edges, and I'm just so excited. I've been getting a lot of special edition books. Then I have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I was kind of torn between putting this one on my list and putting Circe on my list, but I figured I'd read The Song of Achilles first and then I'd read Circe. And I'll see which one I like, but I've heard great things about both of them, so I will probably read both of them eventually, but It's just a question of which one I get to in 2024. Next we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Again, I've heard great things. I love to have a little bit of like time traveling-esque stories on my TBR. And we have Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I do have another book by her on my shelf. The book I have on my shelf is One True Loves, but I've heard more things about Carrie Soto is Back, so I might end up buying Carrie Soto is Back and reading that before the book of hers I already own. Next we have If We Were Villains. I don't know why, I just am really interested in reading this book. I feel like of all the dark academia books I've seen people read, this one has been the most highly rated and the most universally liked, so it's kind of my dark academia book of 2024. I've also heard that there's like a lot of Shakespearean references in it. I'm not a Shakespeare expert, so I don't know how that will go for me, but we'll see. Hopefully I can get through it regardless of all that. Next we have The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I absolutely love Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, so I'm really excited to read another one of her books, and I've heard absolutely amazing things about this one as well, so it's definitely on the TBR for 2024. Finally, we have the books that are being released in 2024 that I'm really excited to get to. Of course, some of my series have books that are being released this year. Honestly, I feel like half of the series on my list I have a book being released in 2024, but we're not focusing on those. First on my list, we have a debut novel by Hannah Brown, Mistakes We Never Made. I heard her talk about it on a podcast, the Unplanned Podcast, if you must know, and I'm intrigued. I'm kind of excited to see how Hannah Brown does writing a romance novel. I want to know if I like it or not, so it's on the list. She said that her inspiration for the book and kind of like the vibe of the book is similar to Emily Henry. We'll see. I'll read it and I'll let you know, but I really liked Beach Read by Emily Henry, so we'll see how Hannah Brown does with her book. Next we have Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is also in a series, but I've already read Icebreaker and Wildfire, so I figured I'd put it in the new releases category. Recap, I did not like Icebreaker, but I did quite like Wildfire, so I'm excited and intrigued to see if I'll like Daydream. I'm honestly a little worried because I liked Wildfire and that was more in the camp setting away from like the college campus, and Daydream brings us back to the college campus. I don't know if there'll be a focus on hockey. I feel like it's closer in setting to Icebreaker, which I didn't like, so I'm a little worried that the plotline will be more similar to Icebreaker, but we'll see. I'm hoping since it's her third book, it's just as good as Wildfire or even better. Next we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. As I said, I loved Beach Read, so I'm really excited to get another one of her books. I'm also planning on reading a lot of Emily Henry's backlist this year, but I'd love to read one of her new books this year. So next we have The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. I do have The Bodyguard on my physical TBR, but again, I'm just kind of excited to see how her newest release is. So The Rom-Commers is on there. I'm really hoping I'll like The Bodyguard. I've heard amazing things about it. I also want to read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, another author that I have yet to read, but I have a lot of her books on my TBR. But since this is going to be her newest release in 2024, I figured I should get around to it. Finally, we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Again, another author that I still haven't read any books from, but I have heard literally everyone say that they've read, this, that, or the other Ali Hazelwood book, and she is their absolute favorite author. Ali Hazelwood has a lot of books that I want to get to, but Bride is her first YA fantasy book, I believe, so I'm excited to see how she does in that space, as well as read her backlist. That's all the books that I want to get to in 2024. Of course, I want to read more, but honestly, I can probably read 100 books with just these books, and all the books in the series that I mentioned. So maybe this is just my whole 2024 TBR, and I'll just not read anything else. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.